So it's end of month, and typically this is the time we kind of do an end of month call where we work on closing out the month and we talk about all of those things. But I was thinking this morning, I went on a 4 mile walk this morning to kind of clear my head because I was looking at points and things seemed down and people seemed discouraged. And I was trying to figure out, like, what is the issue overall? And so I started listening to some calls, some podcasts over belief. And it really got me convicted on this being a topic that we need to be working more on and talking more about. And I'll share more why. So, first off, we need to think about, what do we have control over and what do we not? So thoughts are something that are always popping in our minds, and we don't always have control over those thoughts or feelings that we have. But what we do have control over is if we believe those thoughts or if we cast them out. And so I really want to talk about today, like, what are some thoughts that we're having that is holding us back, not only in our personal business, but holding our entire teams back? And what can we do to change that? So Proverbs 4:23 says, guard your heart with all diligence, for everything you do flows from it. And when the podcast I was listening to quoted that, it really convicted me because it is so very true. And it's something that I feel like I have strayed from. Just being vulnerable with y'all and honest with y'all, I really have. And I let myself believe certain things that I do not think are true over our businesses. And so I'm ready to turn the tides and shift things in the right direction for our entire team. And so thinking about our beliefs and, like, what does this look like? So the first thing, as we're going through our day, observing our thoughts is so important, but writing down your thoughts are also important too, so that we can kind of get them captive and do something about them. So first thing I want us to do this morning is I want you to pull out a piece of paper and a pen or something, maybe you're on your phone and you can write it on a notepad, but I want us to take 5 minutes right now, and I want you to write down, what do you think about yourself? What do you believe about yourself as a leader? Like right now in this moment, not overall bigger picture, but what are you thinking right now about yourself as a leader? What are you believing right now about your business? And what are you believing right now about the products? So those three things, I want us to spend 5 minutes writing down what your beliefs are. Now, I'm not going to ask you to share these beliefs, so don't feel like you have to be nervous about what you're writing down. I'm not going to ask you to, like, so this is just between you and your thoughts. So be brutally honest with this. If they are not pretty thoughts, that's okay. If they are wonderful thoughts, that's okay. So I want you just to be real honest with what you're believing right now in this moment about yourself, about the business, about your business, and about the products. Okay, so maybe not full 5 minutes, but I feel like that kind of gave us some time to write down some things. I started counseling last week for the first time in my life, which was something I really needed for myself based on some like childhood wounds and stuff. And one thing my counselor pointed out is that I have loads of self esteem with horrible self compassion. And this thought process, and what like Amanda said about the failure, it reminded me of that, because these are things, our thoughts are what is repeated in our mind on repeat all day long. It is what we are speaking over ourselves. It's what we are speaking over our business. And how would we feel if our kids said that about themselves? If our kids said the things of themselves that we speak to ourselves, like what would be our reaction to that? So think about like, how God feels when we're saying these things over ourselves all day long and how this is affecting us. So now that we've got these things written down, and I'm sure a lot of ours are not pretty, I want us to dispute these thoughts. So that's kind of the next step in this process, is you're going to have to kind of have a debate with yourself. You're going to have to get ugly and think about what is truth, what is real, what does God say about you? What do you know is fact about you? And is this what you're believing? Are you believing things that are truth, or is your mind telling you lies about yourself? And so this is where we come down and we start disputing those things. One of the things I wrote down about myself, I'll just tell you, when I wrote down myself, and I actually hadn't done this before the call or even thought about it. And I just wrote what came to mind. And I said, I am not equipped fully to lead my team because I am scattered and unprepared. And that is something that I tell myself constantly, that I am a scattered mess. I speak that over myself. And so I continue to live a scattered mess, because this is the belief that I have about myself. And it is a deep rooted belief. And I'm going to cry when I start to talk about why it's deep rooted, but it is deep rooted because it was spoken over me as a child. And so sometimes we have to go really deep in this belief process, because sometimes there are things that are underlining that we don't even realize are there until we write it down and we dispute it. Being scattered is not something that is out of my control. It is not who I am. There's parts about that I'm spontaneous. That's a funner way to write scattered, or to think of scattered. And that's a part of my personality that I actually enjoy. And I'm a Kleenex, but I had a pair of clothes sitting next to me. Again, I'm not going to say scattered. I'm not going to say the word. I almost called myself that. But it is, I tend to poke fun at myself. I poke fun at my weaknesses. And I think that makes it okay sometimes, but really it doesn't. Instead, I continue with these deep-seated beliefs that I carry on over years and years and years. And so let's dispute these thoughts. Let's get to what is true and what is not true, and call out the lies that our brain is telling us, and guard your thoughts. Guard your heart and your thoughts with all your mind. And then find new voices. Like, we need to be pouring our thoughts into things that are life-giving. When it comes to this business, that is all about like those testimonies. I was talking with some people this morning and talking with Sarah this morning, and thinking about what was it that worked for us when we first started that we're not doing today. Like, what is different? Like, what is not working today? And I was thinking back, and one of the biggest things that we were really, really good at in 2013, 14, 15, 16 is belief in the products. Like, we believed in triplex like no other. We shared testimonies daily. We were listening to testimonies daily. We were researching ingredients. We were all, I 100% believed in the products. I still believe in the products, but I catch myself on my belief in them being like, what are they really doing? Like, I catch myself thinking that. And it's because I'm not reading the testimony. So we need to find these voices that are pouring the beliefs into us. We need to get back to opportunity meetings. And tomorrow night, I'm going to do a night of testimonies on our testimonial page. I just decided that 15 minutes ago. And so I need testimonies. So I would love for somebody to go live like every 5 minutes. I know we've done those before. If any of you would love to share your testimony, please let me know after this call, because I'm gonna need some people sharing their testimonies. We need to be sharing our stories again. We need to be listening to other people's stories, because this is what's going to build our belief back up in the products. They are still doing the same thing that they were doing in 2015. We're just not hearing the stories. And because we're not hearing the stories, we're not pouring this belief into our new customers. We're not sharing this with our new customers, and they're not getting the results, and our belief is going down. It's a downward spiral, and it is directly correlated. Like if you start losing belief, you stop casting vision, your points go down, your product results go down. And then until we catch those thought processes somewhere in their tracks and turn it around, it's going to stay in that direction. So we have got to change our thought process to get back on the way we want to go, because we all know that our thoughts control our feelings control our actions, and our actions control our results, right? That's something we've talked about before on training calls. But one thing that we did not talk about, that I just kind of had an aha moment about this morning, is we can take that a step deeper. Our thoughts control more than our actions, and they control more than our feelings and our results. They also control the results of everybody around us. Because if we are having negative thoughts about the products, about our business, about ourselves, the vision that we are casting to everyone around us is not a positive vision. We are not casting that vision that needs to be casted to our team. We're coming off at that same, like, this can't be done, these do not work, I am not good enough attitude to everyone around us. And if I feel like I can't lead my team, I have a feeling my team under them feels like they're also not equipped to lead their team. And do you see how this like negative thought spiral can affect so much more than just myself? It actually is affecting the people around us. And so this is the second part of that thought process, is the vision casting piece to it. So we need to be not only like capturing our thoughts, focusing on truth, changing the voices that we are listening to and having poured into us, but we also need to be sharing these positive things as soon as they are popping up. Let it overflow. Let your cup overflow with this positive thoughts and this vision casting, so that the excitement is felt by everybody. That is what we are missing as a team. That's where I feel like over the past couple of years, we've just been stagnant, because that excitement, that vision has been missing. And I take some ownership in that. Part of it starts with me. And so, but I know that like we all have this same problem. Like we are human, and this is a human nature issue to get stuck in some negative thought spirals. And so I'm excited. Like as I was thinking about things and walking this morning, like I got like giddy excited thinking back to where my belief was 5 years ago, and I'm ready to get back there. And it for me, I can shift things pretty quickly. And this is where don't want to say scattered, but that part of my brain can be. I can jump from negative to positive real easy, where I know for some people it takes a lot longer to get there. And so you may be looking at some of these thoughts that you wrote down and thinking, I don't know how to dispute that. Like that thought I had feels like fact. And if you feel like you're having some of your thoughts feel like facts, we need to work on getting some coaching in one-on-one. Like reach out to me. Let's talk through these thoughts, because they can be changed, and they are not fact about your business in the future. Like maybe today your business is at an all-time low, but you know what is not a fact is that it has to stay there. That is what is not a fact. Like you do have the ability to turn that around and to make that change. And so I want to get started, like really putting the focus back on belief in the products is what is the first pillar that I want to start on. I do think belief in the business and belief in ourselves, I think all three pillars are important, but I would love to start shifting our focus in September back on the belief in the products. I want to do tons of product training. I want to do some events. Yes, we'll have an online event tomorrow night, but I want to get some in-person events back too. So hopefully we can all kind of row together on the same boat and kind of get seeing that vision and that excitement back for our future, because I truly do believe we can get all of our businesses back to the highest point that they once were, and far surpass that. So that is all of the thoughts I had this morning on our thoughts. So I want to kind of open up the call now to let people, I'm going to stop the recording. That way, if anyone wants to share something personal,